Hey guys, in this video we're going to make this classic ube chiffon cake. It's soft, fluffy, not too sweet, and it has a rich ube flavor. This recipe makes an 8-inch ube cake, but you can also scale it depending on the size that you want. And as usual, you'll find the full written recipe and measurements on lilacdiaries.com. Let's start by preparing our ingredients first. It's always easier to have everything measured out before you start baking. If you have a kitchen scale, use it because we need to be really accurate when it comes to baking, and you probably already know that anyways. But if you don't have a weighing scale, that's totally fine too. You can use measuring cups or spoons instead, or whatever you have at home. As part of our preparation, we also need to separate our egg yolks and egg whites. If you find this tricky and you always crack your egg yolks like I used to do, I made a quick video showing 3 easy ways to do it, and I'll leave a link down below or in this video. So after all the ingredients are ready, we'll start with the dry ingredients first. In a large bowl, sift together the cake flour, baking powder, sugar, and salt. If you don't have cake flour, you can easily make this at home. So for every 1 cup of flour, measure out 2 tablespoons and then put this back into the container because we don't need this anymore. And replace this with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Whisk it until it's evenly combined and sift this at least twice, and now you have your cake flour. You can also multiply this recipe depending on the amount of flour that you need. So to those of you wondering why we're actually using cake flour, so cake flour has a lower protein content. So when there's less protein, there will be less gluten formation. So this will keep our ube chiffon cake light, soft, and fluffy. Now for the wet ingredients, add your egg yolks, oil, and for the oil you can use any type of neutral oil like canola oil, vegetable oil, or other ones. Just not strong tasting ones, like obviously not sesame oil or olive oil. Also add in the milk, so this has to be room temperature milk because it mixes better with the yolks and oil. If you're using cold milk, it might cause the batter to separate, so it's always better to use room temperature ingredients. We're also adding ube halaya, and to those who don't know what this is, it's ube jam. I use one made from powdered ube though, and I personally think it tastes way better than the ube halaya in a jar that you can buy from Filipino grocery stores. I find those too sweet. But with homemade jam, you can adjust the sweetness and the amount of condensed milk that you add. So I just like making it myself. And if you want the recipe, please let me know in the comments and I'll share it with you or make a recipe video to show you. We're also adding ube extract, and if you're using a bit of purple food coloring, then this is the time to add it. This is optional though, I just add a little bit. But I know others, they prefer more intense purple color, and you know what, that's totally fine. Do what makes you happy. I'm using gel food coloring because it's way more concentrated than liquid food coloring, so it's much better. And you only need a small amount and it won't mess with the texture of the batter. Mix everything together until it's smooth and lump free, then set it aside for now. Next, we're going to grab a clean bowl and we'll make the meringue using the egg whites. Make sure that there's no egg yolks mixed with your egg whites, even a small amount, because this will stop the egg whites from whipping. So you want to be careful with this, no egg yolks at all. Beat the egg whites until it's foamy, then add cream of tartar. I did not know what I was thinking, but I accidentally added the baking powder instead. So I had to separate 7 eggs again. Sad life. But you know, I could have cut this part out of the video, but I decided to just leave it to show you guys that these things happen. We all make mistakes, especially with baking, no matter how many times you've baked before. And that's okay. It's not the end of the world as long as you learn from it and try not to do it again, then you'll be fine. So now I've placed the new sets of egg whites into a clean bowl and we'll whip this with our mixer until it's frothy. Then add the cream of tartar. By the way, if you don't have this, you can substitute it with white or palm vinegar like this. But I would suggest using cream of tartar because it's more stable and it helps the egg whites whip up firmer and hold their shape better. Gradually add the caster sugar into the egg whites, and if you're asking what if you don't have caster sugar, you can use granulated sugar instead. But I just prefer using caster sugar because it dissolves faster into the egg whites. We're going for stiff peaks, so it has to be firm, glossy, and slightly droopy tips. That's fine. Don't overbeat the meringue though, or it can clump and it won't fold smoothly into the wet batter. At this stage, you can actually turn it upside down and it shouldn't fall at all. See, I put it over my head and it just stuck on the bowl. If it doesn't stick on the bowl though, then it's not ready yet. You need to whip it a bit more and make sure you're scraping it on the sides as well so it's evenly whipped. The meringue is ready now, so it's glossy, it's soft, and it will be really easy to whip into the wet batter. Now carefully fold the meringue into the yolk batter that we prepared earlier, and we'll be doing this in 3 parts. Use a cut and fold motion like this, and then you also need to rotate the bowl as you go to make it easier to mix. Just be gentle though, we don't want to overmix the meringue because that would deflate all the air bubbles that we just worked so hard to whip. I usually count how many folds I do. It should only take around 15 to 20 folds per addition, so shouldn't be more than that, and you shouldn't be stirring really hard on it. Otherwise you'll just deflate the batter and it won't be fluffy and airy later on, so don't do that. So we're looking for balance here. We don't really want to undermix the batter either. Make sure that you're digging into the bowl and aim for that smooth and even batter. And when the batter is even like this, I'm happy with this, we can transfer them to the baking pans. By the way, I have preheated the oven to 170 degrees Celsius or 340 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm using a fan forced oven as well. Line the bottom of 2 8-inch pans with parchment paper, but you don't need to grease the sides though. This is a chiffon cake and it needs to cling on the sides of the pan to help it rise when it's baking. Divide the batter evenly between the 2 pans. If you have a weighing scale, you can weigh them if you want to be extra accurate, like me trying to be accurate, but it's fine if you don't have it and you just eyeball it, that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. Now I know this is an extra step, but we are going to bake the cakes in a water bath. Place your pans in a larger tray and pour hot water around them about 2 cm deep. And if you're wondering why we're doing this, it's a bit extra, yes, but it really helps the cake bake evenly and prevents doming. As much as possible, we want the cake to bake evenly and stay flat because a dome top can collapse as it cools, making the texture of the cake more dense and harder to slice into layers. So it's much better to have a water bath to keep the temperature more even around the cake. Carefully transfer this to the oven and bake it for 30 to 35 minutes. Mine was perfectly done at 30 minutes, but each oven can be slightly different, so you can check if it's ready by using a toothpick, and if you insert it, there shouldn't be any crumbs sticking on it. When it's done, take it out of the oven and immediately invert the pans to cool upside down on a cooling rack. We have to leave them upside down so they don't collapse since they're so light and airy. When you turn them upside down, actually help them hold their height and structure as they cool. While waiting for the cake to cool down, let's make the frosting. We're using room temperature cream cheese so it blends smoothly in our icing. Cold cream cheese usually clumps and gives you a lumpy, uneven frosting, so it needs to be at room temperature. Beat the softened cream cheese until it's smooth, then add vanilla and sugar, then slowly whip in the cold cream. I use icing sugar because it dissolves quickly and the icing comes out really smooth, but you can also use caster sugar if that's what you have, or granulated sugar. Make sure that your cream is cold, it whips faster and it holds better as well. So take it out of the fridge just before you're going to use it. Some people also like to add ube extract to the icing, which is totally fine, but personally I feel like it's a good balance to have this vanilla icing because the main cake and the crumbs are already packed with ube. Mix it until stiff peaks and be careful not to overmix the whipped cream because it turns grainy and eventually turns into butter if you do that. So stop at stiff peaks when it's smooth and it's fluffy like this. You can chill the frosting until it's ready to use, or you can also make it a day before and just keep it in an airtight container. Now we're ready to assemble our ube cake. You can use your fingers to gently release it from the pan like this. Cut each cake into 2 layers. You can use a cake slicer. It has thin wires that can slice through a cake. I know it's a bit thin, but it actually cuts through the cake quite well. You can adjust the wires depending on the height of the layers that you like. I've already adjusted mine and it will just slice it through like this. The string is thin, but yeah, the cake is soft, so this is actually pretty easy to do. If you don't have a cake slicer, you can use a serrated knife. Make sure to do this carefully. To cut your cake straight, lightly cut around the edges first as a guide, then carefully just turn the cake as you go to keep it level, and this requires more concentration, so yeah, I like using the cake slicer. You probably noticed we have 4 cake layers in total, but we will only use 3 layers on the actual cake. We will use 1 cake layer to make crumbs, which we will then use to cover the cake to get that classic ube cake look. To make ube crumbs, just break 1 cake layer into chunks and put them into manual food chopper or a food processor and pulse a few times until you get a fine and fluffy crumb. If you don't have any of these, you can just use your hands, but it will just be more time consuming. To assemble the cake, place a dab of frosting on your cake. Place the first cake layer and put the icing on top. I like to have about 1 centimeter of frosting between layers, but of course it's up to you. You can add more or less, whatever feels right for you. Use a spatula to flatten the icing and add the next cake layer. And again, add the same amount of icing on top, then flatten it. Now add the last layer and add more icing to cover the rest of the cake on top and also on the sides. I like to do the top first and then just go around the sides and make sure that the cake is fully covered with icing. Make sure that there's enough icing to cover the cake completely, and if you miss some spots, just add more icing and then just go around the cake with your spatula again. The good thing is we do not need to worry about making it perfect because we'll cover it with ube cake crumbs anyway, so this is good enough. Now cover the cake with the beautiful crumbs that we prepared earlier. We can start at the top, just sprinkle the ube crumbs and make sure that it's fully covered. The top part is actually very easy, but for the sides, that's when it gets a bit more tricky. So gravity is not really our friend here. So you might need to tilt the cake a little bit and lightly press the crumbs on the icing to make them stick. Use the leftover icing to pipe little swirls around the cake. We're using the icing tip 1M, which looks like this. Grab a piping bag and hold it like an ice cream cone with the top half folded, and use a spatula to place a big dollop of icing into the icing bag. If you're not confident icing the actual cake, you can practice on a chopping board or a plate first until you're ready to pipe on the cake. Pipe small swirls around the cake. I like to pipe around 7 to 8, so there'll be 1 for each slice. I also added small dots of ube halaya on top because I have some leftover ube jam. This is optional though, it's already beautiful without it. Now it's time to try it! My favorite part. So this cake is soft and moist and it's not too sweet. You can really taste the ube flavor. The cream cheese frosting goes so well with it and it just balances everything out. I hope you learned something from this recipe video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok at Lilac Diaries for more updates. See you in the next video. Bye!